Hello everyone, dear friends. Ilnar Stebaev here. Today we're going to go over AdsPower. This is an anti-detect browser for those who work not with just one account but with several. If you have many projects, ad accounts, marketplaces, clients, or teams, to explain it as simply as possible, it's simple. AdsPower allows you to create separate browser profiles. And each profile can have its own cookies, its own session, its own settings, its own digital fingerprint, its own working environment. So instead of keeping everything in one place, like Google Chrome, constantly logging out of accounts, always logging in from the same IP address and with the same fingerprint, here you can separate your work by profiles. One profile for advertising, another for e-commerce, a third for a client. More than 9 million users use this service. For most people, the internet seems very simple. One browser, one account, one email, one advertising account. If you are actively involved in arbitrage, cryptocurrency trading, e-commerce, digital advertising, or perhaps running your own complex projects, I think you already clearly understand exactly what these tools are for and how they work. So to put it quite simply, if you find that you need to have a large number of different accounts on one single profile, and login is only possible through the use of cookies, then this browser is absolutely the perfect solution for you. You can have multiple accounts, several advertising accounts, clients from different countries, teams, and work environments. And at some point, a regular browser turns into chaos. Somewhere you logged into the wrong account, somewhere the browser saved an old session, the team is asking for access, you need to run a test. You need to test a completely different market from another country, and you can't mix them. A personal work account with Power helps separate this work into individual digital environments. Installation is done on the power.com website. I'll leave the link in the description. Accept, download, run. The installation is very fast. The files are small. This is the interface that greets us. Here we have groups adding proxies. That is, you can buy a proxy for 30 days for $7, for 90 days for $18, $32, and $61. Here it's SOX5. You can get static IP addresses, dynamic ones, or residential ones. That's pretty cool. By the way, there's still a discount available, and it's quite good. You can pay by card, PayPal, crypto, Bitcoin, and so on. The prices are quite good, I must say. You can also add plugins. Trash is our garbage here. Then there's the synchronizer, and there's an interesting tab. Let's try it and see what it does. You can synchronize your actions on two profiles, meaning you can do the same thing on both, more or less. Basically, right now, you could theoretically buy IP addresses, set up different profiles, and register, say, several accounts and so on. And as you can see, you can utilize the feature in that specific way. Replay Plus, which essentially means that you can do it. Automation, so that something happens every day at the same time. All of this will need to be registered and so on created. Something like that. Let's create a new profile. I'll just show you, let's say the name is conditional. What we have here is the power test. The name, for example, this is power test. In the latest version, you can also use Firefox there, though I don't know who actually uses it. But if you have previously logged into your personal account through the Firefox browser, you might wonder, why would you even need this in the first place? Let me try to explain it to you much more simply. Let's say, for example, that you've logged in through your Facebook profile, and now you find that you need to share this specific access with someone else. But when that other person tries to log in from another device, or perhaps from a completely different account and so on, there is a high chance that you might get temporarily blocked by the system. And you'll run into, well, most often marketers run into this problem where they can't log into the account because of different IP addresses. This is a big problem, but you can grant access. By downloading your cookies, you can send the login to your team. And then, for example, a targeting specialist or another marketer can log into your account without any issues, without any authorization problems, and register right away. Here you can change the versions. Login here refers to your Chrome fingerprints. Usually you can go into Chrome itself and see which is the latest version and register this latest version for the group and so on. This is all done for yourself in cookie JSON format. You download them, pass them along. It doesn't matter where you get them. There is a ton of information online about where to find them. Well, with us, you can register and mark without cookies. So we don't touch this next part since we're without a proxy and we don't really need to mess with it. But in the next episode, if you're really interested, I'll show you how to create separate profiles, how you can interact with them, and how to work with them. Here we have the fingerprint tab. This is your digital fingerprint, and you can change it here. You can, for example, change the time zone. It will be based on the IP address you purchased, your real IP address, or a custom one that you can use, for instance, America and so on. If you're creating your own profile, you leave it as real. If it's based on a specific country or another IP address, then it will be based on that IP address. Location as well. It's better not to change the default settings unless you already know what you're doing with them. Display. Here, you'll probably need to choose a custom option because if you select a particular country, you can, for example, if, for instance, everything is currently set to Russian, then the next profile will also be in Russian. And it turns out that all the work you did with those addresses was pointless. But if you logged in from America, then you need to use the language accordingly, America, obviously, and screen resolution. Use a digital fingerprint, not just your IP address, but also screens, device names, and so on. Use your screens most of the time. Well, you probably shouldn't choose randomly. Most often use what people typically use. For example, 1920 by 1080 is a basic option. You can just choose that. Backgrounds are default, except for some rare cases. I don't even know where else you could use it. I think you can mention in the comments where this could be used. Where should you log in from? Google incorporated video. It says that you have what kind of video card, what kind of processor. Yes, that counts too. All of this can be analyzed. You can use the basic configuration parameters. You are free to utilize them effectively and so on, whatever approach works best for you. All of this needs to be tested and so on, but for your own purposes, you'll have your own specific settings. So let's create a profile. The profile is created, we open it, and to set it up, to open it, you need to refresh everything. Now we'll refresh. There's a quick download of certain browsers happening, the ones I set up earlier. You just needed to install them in advance. We open it, and since we haven't changed any IP addresses, we'll be using my current IP address. Here it shows us. Here you can check my address through IP to location browser scan and so on. So you can check everything where all our settings come from. The ones we entered, they are, so to speak, applied. This is very convenient because when I used to work with other browsers, such a tab wouldn't open and everything had to be checked manually. And the most interesting thing is that you can check whether the proxy is connected or not, but in theory, this should also be checked here. Yes, here is a tab where you can see whether there is a connection or not. When you connect your IP addresses, by the way, you can change them in parallel right away. For example, you connect a profile and then change it, but it depends on what you're doing this for. After all, your browser saves all this, but if, for example, your socks or your permanent IP address gets disconnected, you just buy another one and so on, and leave it as is. On the one hand and so on, this will work for you, so there's nothing wrong if you're from the same city. But different addresses, that's normal, it's standard practice. Here is a basic profile. I haven't configured it, so you could also change whatever you want in the settings and so on. You can go to LinkedIn there or TikTok and so on. So these are the basic parameters, how everything looks by default and so on. It's convenient, pretty cool. That's it, I closed it, and here it shows that it's closed. Synchronizer, I'm interested in trying out the synchronizer. Everything is interesting, quite intriguing. So to make this work, we need to open two profiles. We open two profiles. Let them open up. Okay, they're both open now. We go to synchronizer start, select two as if we're logging into the telephone profile. This is done for residential IP addresses. This is really interesting, a great feature for me as a marketer. This is a really great feature because in my previous experiences, I often used all this, but with various other actions. So here in the free version, we're allowed to create two profiles. Well, buying it is no problem. It's all pretty cheap, not very expensive. We also quickly create a new profile at random. I'm really interested. I want to check the synchronizer. Everything in the synchronizer works. Damn, that's cool. Let's say, for example, switching to YouTube. And now, for instance, I can do it like this. Wow, this is a really awesome feature. I have a lot of ideas that have come up which could be used. How can this be used? I need to clarify if there's an API. Does this platform have one, and is it possible to integrate it with artificial intelligence and interact with software? Right now, this is kind of a free version, but I already really like it. I'll need to experiment a bit and create something new. I'm really surprised by it. I used to use Dolphin on this platform, but apparently now I'll switch to AdsPower because it's much more versatile and interesting. Yes, and using it is a real pleasure. The interface is very simple. Everything is clear, and I really appreciated the versatility of the individual synchronizer functions, plus the comprehensive daily automation features. What this means is that you have the power to take action with these profiles, assign them a very specific function, and it will be executed automatically. It is honestly a fantastic and efficient way to work. The link will be in the description. Check it out, get familiar with the free version. There are a lot of cool features you can use for free, interact with, and leave your comments. I would be very interested to hear your opinions and questions. See you soon. This was Ilnar Stebaev.